Good morning from Memphis. It is the early hours of June 17th, 2022, 4:15 a.m. I've been working on new songs all night tonight. A couple of Western songs. One that's going to be really cool called Ragtime Cowboy Joe. But I had to step outside and see what was in the sky, and finally I've stayed up late enough so that I can see 4 bright planets in the sky. Finally was able to see Venus come up, and it's right in the middle of the screen. I'm going to zoom in. It's that bright beacon right in the middle of the screen. Even with the bright streetlights, you can see Venus plainly. Second planet from the sun. But the reason I wanted to see that was because now you can see 4 bright planets: Venus, Mars, right in the middle of the screen, Jupiter, and Saturn up there by the moon, along with the moon. So that's 5 bright solar system objects. And in about another 45 minutes, Mercury's going to be coming up, but that's very hard to see from this location because it never gets more than 20 degrees or so from the sun. It actually reached its farthest point from the sun yesterday, 23 degrees. And it won't be up till about 5 a.m. and I plan to be going inside shortly. But nevertheless, all of the planets are in the morning sky, all of the bright planets. 45 minutes, Mercury would be coming up. Of course, we've got Venus. Uranus and Neptune are also in this lineup here between Mars and Jupiter. Between Mars and Venus. Uranus and Neptune would be visible with a telescope. So, like I spoke about in yesterday's video, this is a very unusual alignment where all of the planets are visible. They're effectively lined up in the morning sky. It's very unusual. They would all be either in the evening or the morning sky, but in this case they're all in the morning sky before the sun comes up. In other words, visible after midnight but before sunrise. It only happens once every several decades. I'm not exactly sure how often, but it's less than every 20 years. So back over here to Venus. See, it's slowly coming up and getting brighter. It is the brightest object in the night sky after the moon, followed by Jupiter. Jupiter would be the 4th brightest object. Venus is a pretty cool planet in its own right. It's the same mass as Earth, about 90 to 95% the mass of Earth, 95% our diameter, 9/10 the gravity of Earth. No natural satellites. But its atmosphere is much heavier and thicker than ours, and since it's closer to the sun, the surface temperature is extremely hot. But there are areas or levels in its atmosphere that are actually Earth-like. And so there's been much talk about sending a balloon type of mission. Venus, there's actually one planned for launch. Gonna have to wait a while, till about 2030, but nevertheless, they're actually going to finally do that. We've had a handful of landers and a handful of orbiters, but we're going to finally get a balloon mission to Venus. And there's also been speculation that life was detected in the clouds. Without diving too much into the detail, phosphine gas was detected, as well as some anomalies, other anomalies in the clouds. Of course, scientific studies also indicate that in the past, Venus may have been much more Earth-like, possibly with liquid water on the surface. So even though the surface temperature of 870 degrees Fahrenheit, close to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, makes it utterly inhospitable and unlivable on the surface, there's still a lot to be learned there, and possibly we could establish some kind of floating city in the clouds. That may be a little far-fetched for now, but nevertheless, it's possible. Because with the airships, we could stay above the surface and in the clouds with Earth-like temperatures and pressures, so you could actually step outside. You need to breathe oxygen because the atmospheric composition is unbreathable, mostly carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid, other gases that aren't very pleasant for us. But that's pretty cool to speculate about these things. Of course, there's Mars. Of course, everybody knows about the various missions to Mars. We've still got a couple rovers up there. And maybe we'll get there in our lifetime, who knows. It would be kind of cool. Of course, Mars has 2 moons. Not that I'm not satisfied with ours, but I think it would be kind of cool to have 2 moons in the sky at night, rather than merely 1. Of course, the surface gravity of Mars is 1/3 that of the Earth. So if you weighed 180 pounds on Earth, you'd weigh 60 pounds on Mars. Mars is 1/10 the mass of Earth. And an atmosphere is 1/100th as thick as ours, so it would be roughly the same as being about 60,000 feet high in our atmosphere. So obviously we'd need a pressure suit there. Of course, Jupiter, bright beacon of the night sky, 80 known moons, 318 times the mass of Earth. We've had, let's see, at least 2 orbiters. Yeah, 2 orbiters, several flybys. All sent back amazing scientific data. Jupiter has a ring system, not quite like Saturn's, but nevertheless a ring system. 500 million miles from the sun, 45 light minutes from Earth. So light traveling at the speed of light takes 45 minutes to reach Earth from Jupiter. In fact, that was how the speed of light was originally measured, was anomalies in the, they measured the eclipse times of Jupiter's satellites, and they were 45 minutes off of the prediction. So that was how the first measurements of the speed of light were made first accurate measurements were made relative to the satellites of Jupiter, which were the first objects discovered by Galileo's telescope back in 1610. Of course, Saturn, if I could find it there. There's the moon. There's Saturn. Camera's having trouble focusing. Also 80 known moons, 900 million miles from the sun. 1 hour and 30 light minutes from Earth, so about twice as far as Jupiter. Light takes 1 hour and 30 minutes to travel from Saturn and reach Earth. Of course, the moon is a little bit past full. Almost too bright to look at this far zoomed in. .4 light seconds from Earth. Again, just beautiful early morning here in Memphis. 99 degrees during the daytime. I'd had a really good day. Played a gig, did 2 rehearsals, actually 3 rehearsals today with 2 different singers and my singing group. So, and worked on some really cool Western songs tonight. And here again we have the 4 bright planets. Zoom back in here. You can see Venus coming up above the horizon, getting a little bit higher. Again, it's so bright that even with these street lights, there's no problem seeing it. Mars, all 4 of these bright planets are well bright enough to see even amidst the city lights, so that's pretty cool. So even amidst bright city lights, there's still quite a bit that we can see in the night sky. And I thank you for watching.